Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game SO. Derek, and a very merry video game trap house New Year's to each and every one of you, because this is the first Super Sega FPGA video of 2025. Where we left off, Alejandro said right after Christmas that Sega had granted him permission to use the Super Sega name to continue with the project, and to even charge people at Sega that sent him emails with fraud and harassment via the police. Obviously that's about as real as Alejandro dressing up as old Santa Claus himself and squeezing his ass down your chimney, but it is what he said and it is what we report. And honestly, the saga keeps getting weird, and now Alejandro has gone missing. The man took the bag and he ran, and now we have to wait for the next chapter of this obvious scam saga, and it just keeps getting weirder and weirder. But I knew you guys were curious what was going on. I've been getting a lot of messages asking for updates, so here we are today. The Ron Jeremy of Spain, the master of scams himself, the dancing lunatic Alejandro, seems to have been missing with 138,000 euros in cash, because we talked about the fact that he stated he was refunding everyone, and even showed a deduction to his Stripe account as such. But as of the recording of this video, I've talked to the few people I know who pre-ordered this, either out of curiosity or because they just weren't paying too much attention, and absolutely nobody has seen a penny back in their accounts. Maybe Alejandro went and bought a Ferrari to go with a Lamborghini, maybe he bought another Lambo just so he could have extras. I mean, the man deserves it. He is the hardest working man in video game FPGA after all. And this thing just continues to be a metric crap ton of a mess. There's been so many weird videos showing up all of this hardware, and the question really is, did he take the money from the pre-order or just go and buy himself a Sega collection? We may never know where the money goes. Last communication he had during the refund process was stating that if you hadn't received your refund, you should try and do a chargeback with your credit card company or bank company, which would pivot the fraud over from consumer fraud one-to-one direct with the pre-order purchaser and Super Sega to the banks, which definitely would be a bad idea if that is what's going on here. And then there was the whole controversy of the Super Sega name and logo, but then like I said, Alejandro came back in and stated that Sega gave him permission to use the name and was even excited for his project, and we'll get into that in a few minutes if you missed that video between Christmas and New Year's, because it was a very busy area of the year. And big thanks to Ian Lee for chatting with me in the background. I put him in touch with Alejandro in the first place, and it's been a great time just talking with him. Super good guy. I will leave a link to his channel below. And you'll see here a negative 133,000 euro deduction from this Stripe account that's stated as Super Sega. Now we have to go through the obvious. 1, this could be a Photoshop photograph. 2, it could be an edited HTML file. 3, it could just be a transfer from the Stripe account to any other bank account owned by Alejandro or Super Sega FPGA, or it could be a negative $133,000 balance because maybe Alejandro is just really broke. We have absolutely no idea, but this is the evidence that Super Sega and Alejandro submitted to state that they were refunding everyone. Now Stripe takes up to 10 business days to do refunds at the most, and I wanted to wait for that metric to come and go so I could unequivocally say when people said they didn't receive a refund that Stripe's own time frame had elapsed. That has happened. No one has seen a penny, and again, this was always part of the entire concept. A $3 pre-order with some terms and conditions that people didn't read that said they could take the full amount of money anytime they wanted to, and that's exactly what they did. Within like 48 hours of all of these pre-orders, measuring about 300 or so, they took the entire 420 euro charge to the cards and then basically said, no, that was the plan all along. So think to yourself, 300 times 420, you get to around the 133,000 euro transaction that Alejandro sent footage in of. And again, who knows what that's actually showing? It could be anything whatsoever. And the question really is now, where is Alejandro and where has the money gone? Did he load up that back of the Lambo like a villain and just basically have a bunch of burlap sacks with dollar or euro signs on them and skip town and cross the border? Is he still in his apartment in Spain just waiting this all out? Is he about to pop up with a new crowdfunding campaign? We don't know. But the Super Sega FPGA team said that they were going to be back in January new news, and right during the Christmas holiday break they came back and stated that Sega had given them permission to do this. It really isn't weird to me whatsoever, the timing of this. You just do basically a Friday 5 p.m. news drop or a holiday news drop, and not many people notice it whatsoever. And the letter that they posted, they stated was from Sega, and definitely is not from Sega. You can tell just from the language and overall tone of it that this was not written by anyone other than Alejandro. It even says, please go ahead and report some of our legal team, employees, associates behind these unlawful attacks for misconduct, harassment, etc. Sega is stating to Alejandro that he should report their own employees back to Sega because of harassment and unlawful attacks. That makes no sense whatsoever, because 1, no company would ever communicate like that and admit liability, and 2, you 100% know that shit is fake as hell. There is no two ways around it. I can't even give anyone the benefit of the doubt on that. It is complete absolute garbage. And even if they change the name to SPGA and then back to Super Sega FPGA because now they have quote unquote permission from Sega to do so, this project is no more real than it was last year. here, but I do have this feeling that Alejandro is going to pop up soon with a crowdfunding campaign because he's laying the groundwork for that, stating that Sega gave him permission to move forward, so now it's just going to be a situation where they just need a little bit more money to get over the finish line. I've seen it 100 times. This is the last thing that Alejandro said to Ian Lee right before Christmas. Go ahead and listen, and I'll explain where Alejandro is now, or isn't.
And 30 seconds later, he sends me this.
Hello, Ian. Today I received a new reply from Sega. We changed the name to Super SPGA instead of Sega SPGA, and they don't know what for us to continue. They still want for us to destroy. This is hard. I'm not sure what we can do. Our advocate is asking a 5-digit figure for us to continue. It's not good for us.
Now, when I heard that, I thought, you know, when you want.
So that was some of the last communication Alejandro had with Ian Lee, and I've talked to Ian in the background, and he has stated that Alejandro has dropped off the face of the earth, and that is definitely part of their MO, just like the Fran 8K camera. They took a bunch of money in, they declared bankruptcy, and Alejandro didn't pop up for some years. It's only when the FPGA craze in gaming appeared that he showed back up and had a brand new project to take money for. And as far as the Lambo posting is concerned, it is still up as of the recording of this video. I don't think this car was ever for sale whatsoever, because like I explained before in a previous video, just because you list something for sale does not mean you're actually intending on selling it. But this was the big evidence Alejandro submitted to Ian Lee, basically stating that he was broke and he was trying to recover money from Sega's lawsuit, which now apparently never happened in the first place because Sega gave him permission, which means where was the money spent and where did it come back from? Obviously none of this is true whatsoever. The dancing man of Spain here, the MiSTer FPGA, the Ron Jeremy of just screwing you over, is making things up as he goes along and will continue to make things up as he goes along. And that is the problem with this sort of thing. Every single answer brings forward 3 more questions, and every answer to those 3 questions exponentially adds more questions to the end until things make absolutely no sense whatsoever. And again, I really do feel like there is still one more round of asking people for money before this scam finally collapses for real, because Alejandro stated he was broke, he stated that Sega was suing him, he stated that he lost all the money to that, and that he couldn't continue with the project. It was refunding everyone. Now all of a sudden the project is totally fine in Sega's eyes, and those refunds have not shown up in anybody's inboxes as far as the credit card statements are concerned, and trust me, I really don't think they ever will unless the heat gets so hot that the best course of action is to really refund everyone and just move on from it, because I don't know if the money has been spent. That 133,000 euros could just be parked in another account somewhere. It could be all gone. It could be a new Lamborghini. It could be 10 new guitars for Alejandro, who just loves posting the most ridiculous things on the Super Sega FPGA channel, stuff that has no contextual sense whatsoever. But this is the big question on the table today. Where is that 133,000 euros and where is Alejandro? Because he stopped communicating with Ian Lee, he stopped communicating with anyone that he's tried to in the past, and he has sent me numerous emails in the background asking to talk on the phone, and I have not done that because honestly I haven't had to. I will see if I can raise Alejandro from the dead here, but it's one of those things. The money's gone missing, Alejandro's gone quiet, and that might be the end of this story. He just may fade into obscurity. The money may never get returned to people's accounts. Some people might get chargebacks, and he might pop up in a couple of years to do this exact same scam to a different market outside of video games. But trust me, video games are dead to him. No one would ever fall for this a second time, and really shouldn't have fallen for a first time, because this board does nothing and my offer is still real, Alejandro. If you mail me this board and it arrives in one piece, I will send you $1,000 so I can play around with it. I know it doesn't do anything, but I want it for my collection and to show it to you. So if you are watching, contact me, mail me that board, and $1,000 is yours. But that's the current situation with Super Sega FPGA, and the big question on the table is, where is Alejandro and where is that money? In my imagination, he drove the Lamborghini to the beach and he's currently sitting on a chair drinking tropical drinks while cash comically falls out of his pockets. Or maybe he's just still in his apartment waiting to get some more cash. Well, we're done. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.